morning. Welcome. And we're very glad that you are able to join us here at KUTV Kenya. We are live on your free-to-air set-top boxes. We're also live on all our social platforms, be it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube, KUTV Kenya Live. That's why you'll be able to follow up with this stream all the way to the end of the show. Yesterday, the 13th of February, was World International Condom Day, by the way, which is a day celebrated, of course, to mark the importance and also to appreciate the role of protection for our sexual reproductive health. So that is the use of condoms. And today, the February 14th, we celebrate a population or a group, a percentage of the population that is not known to use those condoms a lot, that is couples. So today is Valentine's Day, the 14th of February 2023. Love is in the air, and so am I. Welcome to the show. This is Biashara Tuesday. Make sure they drag me at Richard_OKENYE and use the hashtag Biashara Tuesday. Biashara Tuesday is the love of my life, so make sure you're tuning in all the way to 10 a.m. and see how we interact with this show, what kind of love I pour out to you guys as well, and also make sure that we get your feedback as well. We value that because you are also part of the love that we share here on KUTV Rise Today. So please make sure that you're tagging us and also sending your messages on the SMS or WhatsApp and also on all the social platforms, just as I had mentioned. Here on Biashara Tuesday, we have a look at matters of business, the economy, technology, and also matters of politics, because we have a newspaper review section that comes up later on. We get to have a look at the headlines and also the top stories which will be informing your week. We have a discussion that is coming up on that on the newspaper review section, so it's important that you get yourself a copy of either of the dailies this morning, whether it's a physical copy or an e-paper that should be a bit cheaper than Kenyan shillings, that is 60 bob, which goes for the physical copies of your dailies. So grab that and also have a look at the headlines. We'll be sharing that as we go on with the show to see how that affects your business into the coming week. We are also having a look at what opportunities there are within this economy for you to take advantage of, what decisions the government is taking towards turning around the economy, how you can address the elements around your business or your sources of income, and what kind of channels can you use to address those elements. This is all we have here for you, and also a bit of technology, and I'll be informing you what we'll be having a look at today when it comes to matters of technology. But let's just maybe tease a bit of business and politics. Here on the daily, on the Business Daily, talks about forex reserves, which are currently dipping to a 10-year low. So the past 10 years haven't seen such a drop in forex reserves. That is this also on the backdrop of a dwindling shilling, that is in terms of the exchange of the Kenyan shillings to the US dollars. The reserves currently stand at 869 billion, and this is according to the latest data which I'm receiving here from the Central Bank of Kenya. So we'll be having a look at how that is doing, and also the shilling, of course, right now on a steady decline against the dollar in its lowest ever, exchanging at 125 Kenyan shillings on Monday, in contrast to what it was a year ago at around the same time, which was at 113 Kenyan shillings. And I can't forget that I stood here on this show last year in January complaining on how badly the shilling was doing against the US dollar. It was still at its highest in decline then, and still is today. And this is, of course, affecting how the cost of living is in the country. Also having a look at what kind of price increment has been experienced in the various commodities in the economy. Since last week to now, prices of gas have also gone up. We're expecting that EPRA is going to adjust fuel prices this week, actually. That is before the expected drop or the expected hike across the world by next week. So we are having a look at that, and also what you can expect and what areas of the economy that is going to affect. Killing fields versus prayers versus barazas. That's what the Daily Nation and the Standard are having a look at. Insecurity or runaway insecurity is what residents of the North Rift region are dealing with in an in a joint effort that is being conducted by the government and other security forces to ensure that there is a return to normalcy in the North Rift region, where bandits have been, of course, terrorizing locals, and law enforcement agencies have had to be called to respond to this issue, where the bandits are burning down schools, churches, and also bringing, of course, a very nasty situation that is in the last 6 months, over 100 civilians and 16 police officers have been murdered. The President of the Republic, William Ruto, has declared this an issue of national security and, of course, an issue of national emergency as well. So all security forces have been called to alert to ensure that they are addressing this issue in the wild north, according to what the Daily Nation here is calling it this morning. The wild north, a story that we'll be having a look at. On the other end of the matters of economy and also the budget of 2023-2024, prayers versus barazas. This is even as the president and his Kenya Kwanza team heavily of course, call out to Kenyans, including the deputy president, to send out their prayers to their respective deities to ensure that we are getting favor before the gods, and also to get a turnaround in issues of the security and also matters of the cost of living. However, the country is sliding back slowly to the campaign period as we see various rallies and also public barazas from either side, the opposition and also the government. But now the Parliamentary Budget Office economists are saying that there's need to rethink the various financial models, even as we continue to pray and ensure that these new models are adopted to get people money into their pockets. The suggestion is that we focus more on agriculture and promoting SMEs, so that this will be boosting the state of the businesses and their profitability. So we'll be having a look at that as well, which areas you can have to invest in and what the government can do. Of course, even as the experts warn of the economic turmoil that is expected to hit the country as the fears of looming recession are also experienced across economic regions all over the world. So those and much more in matters of business and politics will be breaking down throughout the show. Later on in technology today, we have a look at a very interesting device I'm holding here in my hand, which is a foldable laptop. It's the Asus ZenBook 17 Fold. So it works either way, portrait mode, landscape mode, and you can also get to fold it if you're too tired to maybe carry such a big device. And comes in a small factor with its own keyboard. So we'll be having a look at this and what kind of use case scenarios you can take advantage of in this new Asus ZenBook 17 Fold OLED. Where can you get to buy this device? How much does it cost? What kind of damage will this be on your bank account? Because trust me, you're not going to pay this with your M-Pesa or with your cash. Much more of that is coming up later. Tag me, hashtag Biashara Tuesday. Let me have a look at what's happening on those roads, alternative routes that you can use as well. And then we have a look at a roundup of what has developed in your world in the past 24 hours. Newspaper review, and then news updates before that here on KUTV Rise Today. So don't go too far. Tell me where you're tuning in from and also send in your regards. I'll be giving those shout outs as we continue with the show. So welcome to the biggest business show on this side of the Sub-Saharan. My name is Richard OKENYE. I'll be your show host all the way to the end. Let's kick it off. All right, welcome back again. to Biashara Tuesday. If you're joining us for the first time, please tell us where you are tuning in from and who told you to watch this show, because it's important also we know that the word is getting out there. Already messages coming in. Happy Valentine's to Biashara Tuesday. This is from Ojwang Mariam. I don't know if I should say Happy Valentine's back to Ojwang Mariam, because that will raise a few questions here and there. But Ojwang Mariam, to you and your loved ones, have a good, happy Valentine's. We will also be taking in those messages. So if you have someone that you want to celebrate, we said love is in the air, and so is Biashara Tuesday. So we'll be celebrating with you and also having a look at the people who are benefiting from this occasion. So the various businesses that are going to be reaping huge benefits, that is in terms of selling out flowers or picnic sites or places of enjoyment as people share love and joy on this fateful Valentine's Day of 2023. I might not be one of those people who are looking forward to the day, but you can send me your Valentine's wishes to me as well. So I'll be taking that on the SMSs and also on our live stream. That is YouTube and Facebook, because we're also live there. If you're going out of the house, remember to have a look at that. Here is time for us to take a look at current transport and traffic conditions in the city. So we're getting that courtesy of Ma3 route on Twitter, and I'll be taking the alternative routes that you think people can use if they are using a route that is experiencing a lot of traffic this morning. So we begin with the first road, which is Thika Road. On the way to town this morning, Ma3 route is informing here that kumeanza kushikana, it's a parking lot, and Rogers Wambua already giving us that update. Watu wa Thika Road, Wayaki Way, Jogo Road, and Mombasa Road doesn't look good. With every minute you postpone leaving the house, remember there is a sermon at Nyayo Stadium today. Oh, okay. So today is the National Prayer Day that has been set aside by the President and his administration to, as I said earlier on in that teaser of prayers versus barazas. So the government is holding or conducting a prayer session at Nyayo Stadium to see if the gods can have a look at our situation and hopefully grant us favor in turning around the situation of the economy and the various issues that you're currently facing. So if you're someone who's using that road that leads to Nyayo Stadium, every minute that you're postponing is getting you in trouble, because we're expecting a lot of traffic towards that direction. The Nairobi-bound commuter train from Ruiru is currently at the Mutindo stage, so you can get to catch that if you're headed to town and other places. Please ask the cops at Pangani to use their brains and stop this mentality of blocking the entire highway to allow vehicles on the service lane to move. It can't work. The highway should run freely. That's an opinion by a Kenyan who is using that particular route. The road that connects Manyanja Road and Moi Drive through the Tena Police Post is in bad shape. So wanaomba pale Umoja Ward MCAs to style up and have a look at that. Thika Road is a parking lot, as I already said, so you are advised to take a note of that as you go out of the house. Watu wa Thika Road. Elsewhere here, lighting is really poor, and alleys and back street are in pathetic situation. I think this is in the CBD, and Munyash is asking that that be looked at in County 047 of Nairobi. Low Mark Kiambu Road, tunachora lens na macho. Oh, so they're asking Kenha to mark the road, that is Kiambu Road, because the motorists there can't tell the side. So wanachora lens na macho, they can't tell which lane they are using. So hopefully that the relevant authorities are having a look at this. You will find there are other matatus heading on the same destination, but these metro matatus, which you don't have to queue for, but people still opt to queue for almost an hour. Is it really worth it? So if you're a pedestrian who uses metro matatus, kwa nini huwa mna queue na kuna options zingine? That's a question Njenkasa is asking you. Those are the updates I'm receiving here. Mombasa Road sijaona kitu bado, but Jogo Road, Wayaki Way, and Kiambu Road and Thika Road are all looking really, really bad. So I'm thinking people who are going to Valentine's Day celebrations, maybe they're the ones blocking the roads, or the ones going to prayers, national prayers at Nyayo Stadium. But keep telling us what is happening on those roads, and we'll be updating you as we go on. First, I'll be going out to give you that roundup of news, and then coming back with a newspaper review later on. So stay tuned. Much more is coming on Biashara Tuesday. Right, so here I was having a look at the various sentiments that political leaders are giving towards the situation in the North Rift region. The one that's hitting the headlines this morning is Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya, who's pointed out two very interesting things. One is that the meat or the produce from animal products that is there in Nairobi is mostly from cows which have been stolen in this tumultuous North Rift region. So anasema kwamba people in the Dagoretti region especially are consuming meat from cows which have been stolen in the North Rift region, and is pointing fingers to security personnel who are allowing these cows to make their way, or these herds of cows. I think it's a really large amount of that, and it's making its way to Nairobi at night in the presence, or in the of course in the guise of business, but also being allowed to happen under the watch of security personnel. So he's doing that, and also asking that the government takes caution as it approaches these bandits in the North Rift region, because according to him, they no longer use homemade guns that we think are rudimentary, and that's what they will be facing the government with. But he says that the security personnel should be prepared to face a very rogue and well-prepared group. We'll be getting those sentiments, and also to hear what Ngugi Ndegwa has to say, because he's back here for another time for the newspaper review section, and also having a look at also other stories which are developing this morning. I just wanted to ensure that I point that national emergency situation which is happening in the North Rift region, and also those remarks by Trans Nzoia Governor. The president has also given out his remarks, and also the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, CS Kithure Kindiki, and we'll be also having a look at that, what kind of strategies the government is deploying towards that region, and why is it that this has been a situation that has been prevailing for years without any solution being offered, or any permanent solution being realized by the government and even the local authority. The Valentine's Day conversation is also here on Biashara Tuesday. We want to hear who you're celebrating for the day of love that is recognized all around the world, but also if you're someone in business, what kind of opportunities have you realized today, and how can you make money from this day where couples are coming in together to have a good time, to give each other gifts. So various parts of the, or various sectors of the economy are expecting huge profits and turnarounds today, so having a look at that as well. But the Nairobi Securities Exchange is also something we are keen on looking at, and economists are also pointing out to say that banks are going to be the biggest earners this year in the Nairobi Securities Exchange. So which banks can you put your money on, and when or how sooner can you get to realize profit? Treasury bills, we're also having a look at that. However, at this moment, they are experiencing their lowest. So I don't know if it's time for you to invest or not, but the dailies are informing me that. So the newspaper review section, remember, the headlines from any other, the Standard, the Daily Nation, and the Business Daily is what I have. So if you have the Star or the Business or the People's Daily, do tell me what the headlines are looking like and what kind of stories you are interested in having a look at as well. We'll be having a conversation later on Biashara Tuesday here with opportunities for the youth in 2023. So Bonventure Obinda is a Director of Strategy and Entrepreneurship at Young Investors Africa. Is going to give us those entrepreneurship and investment opportunities for the youth in 2023. Get your notebooks, get your pen. We'll be having a rundown of those opportunities and where you can invest. Connecting you to business opportunities as well is Elijah Profits, the CEO of Bulb Interactive Group. CEO of Bulb Interactive Group, that is Elijah Profits, the man connecting you to business opportunities, or the man giving away 200 million to 300 young Kenyans in 2023. So if you want to be one of those 200 or 300 Kenyans who are receiving a part of that 200 million. You have to tune into that and hear from the man himself. He'll be joining us later on. Right about now, let's go for that break and then be back with the papers.
Tukishaichukua kutoka kwa field, we normally pack it where we pack it, and then we wash it. It is okay, what we wash is the normal plastics zenye kuna zenye zina sink na kuna zenye zina float. Normally the ones they sink is the material for them, but for us is the ones that they sink. We have many challenges. We even grow muscles, but we are fine. Even our nails, they can't even grow. We always on water.
Iwaka is an electric mobility company, the first in Africa that is offering multi-modal micromobility fleets. So Iwaka has invested in a way of collecting data through our technology in the vehicles. So this can be able to help our two different categories of customers, which is corporates and also individuals. Our Shujaa is the flagship electric bicycle. This is the Iwaka Beba. So all our vehicles will give you plus a charger. So you'll have a charger that you can be able to plug. Becomes the technology that users are able to scan this QR code here.
Is it love that keeps you on my mind? Is it love? Amani na upendo. Differences of God. Never make it. I never meant to say it. It was never intentional.
Get me past some me I feel look back. What
Lola ni programu inayokupa fursa ya kutizama video zozote pindi tu unapokuwa na nafasi. Hadithi za kukupa motisha, drama, maisha ya vyuo vikuu, teknolojia, masuala ya jamii, kuzuru maeneo tofauti, spoti, burudani na zaidi. Pata programu ya Lola sasa kwenye rununu yako kwa yote unayohitaji.
Kurunzi ya kilimo huimarisha afya na uchumi endelevu katika jamii. Ni msingi mkubwa wa kipindi Boresha Kilimo. Kipindi hiki kinajikita katika teknolojia ya kisasa, utafiti na ushirikishaji wa wadau wa kilimo kuonyesha shughuli mbalimbali shambani. Kwa suluhu ya utoshelevu wa chakula, tazama Boresha Kilimo.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
feel look back. What the
Lola ni programu inayokupa fursa ya kutizama video zozote pindi tu unapokuwa na nafasi. Hadithi za kukupa motisha, drama, maisha ya vyuo vikuu, teknolojia, masuala ya jamii, kuzuru maeneo tofauti, spoti, burudani na zaidi. Pata programu ya Lola sasa kwenye rununu yako kwa yote unayohitaji.
Kurunzi ya kilimo huimarisha afya na uchumi endelevu katika jamii. Ni msingi mkubwa wa kipindi Boresha Kilimo. Kipindi hiki kinajikita katika teknolojia ya kisasa, utafiti na ushirikishaji wa wadau wa kilimo kuonyesha shughuli mbalimbali shambani. Kwa suluhu ya utoshelevu wa chakula, tazama Boresha Kilimo.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more, only on Law Matters.
Mvutano hauishi katika majumba yetu. Huyu ataka hili, huyu ataka hili. Huyu avuta huku, huyu avuta huku. Na usishangae kuna watu hutumia mpaka milioni 1 kuoa tu mke, gharama yote. Ndiposa pale sasa vijana wanapoaoa wale wasichana wanakuwa wakali kweli kweli.
مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيب.
Tukishaichukua kutoka kwa field, we normally pack it where we pack it, and then we wash it. It is okay, what we wash is the normal plastics kuna zenye zina sink na kuna zenye zina float. Normally the ones they sink is the material for them, but for us is the ones that they sink. We have many challenges. We even grow muscles, but we are fine. Even our nails, they can't even grow. We always on water.
Is it love that keeps you on my mind? Is it love? Amani na upendo. Different of God. Never make it. I never meant to sin. It was never intentional.
get me past some me I feel look back. What done it?
Iwaka is an electric mobility company, the first in Africa that is offering multi-modal micromobility fleets. So Iwaka has invested in a way of collecting data through our technology in the vehicles. So this can be able to help our 2 different categories of customers, which is corporates and also individuals. Our Shujaa is the flagship electric bicycle. This is the Iwaka Beba. So all our vehicles will give you plus a charger. So you'll have a charger that you can be able to plug. Becomes the technology that users are able to scan this QR code here.
Yeah. All right. It's time for us to have a look at what is in the papers this morning on the newspaper review section. Welcome back to Biashara Tuesday. Joining us here is Ngugi Ndegwa for yet another time, a discussion that we are always happy to have with him on matters of politics and also what developments we are expecting in the world of business. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How have you been?
I've been fine. And I'm also glad and I appreciate the fact that you welcomed me back again to come and discuss and continue the discussion.
Always, it's important that we are up to date.
Yes.
There's a lot happening here. Let me just maybe quickly have a look at the headlines and then we can get to more stories in there. For the people who are also on the live stream, KUTV Kenya, Facebook, and also on YouTube, I see here Jesse Kimotho is watching from Gumo. Asante sana Jesse Kimotho. He's also been here on the newspaper review section a couple of times before, so it's important that we also get your insights, Jesse Kimotho, to the various issues that we'll be having a look at. On the Standard, they are prioritizing the headline on prayers versus barazas. So we have seen that the country has slid back into the campaign period with rallies in the name of prayers and barazas, prayer meetings and barazas. Today, we're actually expecting the president to lead the country in a prayer session over at Nyayo, and on Sunday, the president was actually in Nakuru for a service, and there was another one that was expected to happen in Kisii yesterday, but this was postponed to Friday, the February the 17th. So this is happening, and prayer ceremonies have become also political forums where politicians have been airing their grievances with Ruto's administration. Political analysts are warning that the government stands to lose with the ongoing counter accusations from the opposition. So this is what we are seeing here, the big day, they are calling it here on the Standard, February the 17th, where ODM leader Raila Odinga plans to hold a political gathering in Kisii, which he had postponed, as I said there, from yesterday. Prayers versus barazas, the Standard. What do you think about that, Bwanangugi?
I think it's a new front, and for politicians who are struggling to catch up with His Excellency the President, I think the main issue is the old versus the new. Because in my view, the President has opened a new front in politics that has not been really used before. Or it has been used before, but most of these politicians from the past generation really do not have an understanding of this front.
And what's that front?
And this front is religion. And every time, even when you look back in history, when the churches have joined hands with politicians, then the politicians are to gain, because they gain a lot from churches, because religion again is the opium of the masses. And that is versus the barazas which have been used even way back in our political history, which again, when you use prayers, people tend to sympathize with you and think, well, God is in control.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
But again,
so
it is a very bad route.
Before we move there from, exactly. Now that you're also, I think you're going to the direction I want us to head to. Is it about God, or is it about the political gain that is being realized out of these meetings? Are we taking our prayers to God, or are politicians using this as forums to, use to bring out their issues or rebuttals to whatever the opposition is saying?
I think for this side, which I do not speak for, because again I do not belong to it, it might be both, because again they see it as how they came to power. That is how they would like the people to continue seeing it.
That God brought them to power.
But now there should be a balance. We should strike a balance, and the government should strike a balance between prayers and working for the people. Because it is one thing to pray for regions that are starving, and it is another one to solve the problem for once and for all.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
I wonder what God feels like when he sees that, if he's having a look at, of course, from high above, and sees that his platforms are being used for political gain.
Yes.
Here, the former Gatanga Member of Parliament, Ndwati Ngugi, I think you share something there.
Yes.
He says here, going to church to give thanks is a good thing, but going there with ill motives is bad.
Yes.
As for the opposition, they are doing their work by engaging locals on topical issues such as high cost of living and the exorbitant increment of bills. So according to him, the opposition in church is addressing the people on the issues that they are facing.
Yes.
But the government on the other side is using this as a platform, as you said there, to also show us that they came to power through the hand of God, but also to maintain that kind of tie with
I would love to take you back to when these two are sworn in, and that is the president and his deputy. And now his deputy said when they came to power, they found empty coffers. Now that should have been the starting point for the government to say that now we have been given the mandate and it is our time now to change this story so that when the next government comes, it doesn't find empty coffers. So I think that should be the starting point to know that there is a lot to be done. There are issues of high taxation, which are punitive, issues of high food prices, which need to be solved.
Right.
And they should have been solved yesterday, not even tomorrow.
Right. We should not be praying about this situation, but
we
should be
offering,
working to offer solutions.
Yes.
I'm trying to get here a comment by one Miss Juma F from the Soko directory, but I'll be getting that in a short while. She was offering a comical response to how we are addressing this situation. So we know that today the government or the president is expected to lead the nation in a prayer session at Nyayo National Stadium, and will be accompanied by the First Lady Rachel Ruto. And the various things that they're going to look at include the drought situation, famine, insecurity, and many other, of course, that are leading to the high cost of living. And Juma G was of the sentiment that then we should be doing away with the meteorological department and other necessary institutions because we can now pray. Why pay people to make guesswork on the direction that the weather is going to be taking the next few months when we can just pray and ask God to bring us rain next month?
But there is also another way to view it. That the work of a leader, other than now, not necessarily a political leader, but other than leading a government and ensuring that the various departments do their job, the other work of a leader is to give hope. And
okay, that's a new angle.
Yes, they are giving hope. Now, if we can pray about it, then well.
we can get some hope into the people.
They are giving hope. But now, other than giving hope, there is a lot that needs to be. It is good. Hope is good, but there is a lot more that needs to be achieved.
I found that comment. I found that tweet. So Juma G is saying one thing. She's saying that we are going to stop funding the Kenya Meteorological Department. What is the point of listening to their guesses when we can ask the Lord Himself on matters of drought? We are shouting at him today at Nyayo Stadium, demanding that he takes away this drought. So also she has detailed the 10 things that national prayers can't fix. Ignorance and stupidity, corruption, the failing Kenyan shilling, the melting economy, drought, reducing the price of unga or fuel, poor leadership, insecurity, poverty, cost of healthcare. You can add onto this list with a bunch of others. But
and again, God gives you wisdom for purpose.
Yeah.
He gives you the ability and the power to do things, so that you do not have to go back and remind him the problem. You have been given the leeway to go and solve them.
That's true. That's true. So you should pray, but don't pray for him to fix these issues for you.
You
should
been
be praying for
the ability to.
the ability to do that.
Yes.
So as you are going out today to I know that so many Kenyans will definitely be turning up.
Yes.
One, maybe a very large majority, of course, going to pray to God, but I can bet you, Ndegwa, that there will be a large percentage of them who will show up because they have nothing else to do today.
Yes.
Because they have no jobs, they are unemployed, the cost of living is going high, and if you have nothing else to do, let's just go and hang out at Nyayo with the president.
Yes.
They can't afford love as well. Today is Valentine's Day.
And I didn't even remember that. You can see how bad the economy is.
Is it the economy? Usiekele economy bwana. Usiekele economy personal, yeah?
Yes.
We spoke there about the shilling, which has been on a steady decline. Experts are saying that this should be worrying us. At the middle of the standard, before you put it away, the Financial Standard has a very interesting look at it. Businesses in the country are now turning to the dollar, and this is they are increasingly opting for the dollar for day-to-day transactions in what experts are also warning could stifle could stifle full utilization of the country's monetary instruments amid the spiraling inflation. So we know of the situation over in Zimbabwe, or the dollarization of Zimbabwe back in 2009, where the currency couldn't really operate because of runaway inflation and its steady decline against the dollar. I don't know. I want to hear from you. Do you think we are headed in this direction? If more businesses are going to prefer the dollar because the exchange rate then gives them more shillings into their pocket than the other way around when they're exchanging it to dollars.
Yes.
Should we be worried? Or,
It's a dangerous trajectory, I will say that, because it is very easy to fall into the trap of Zimbabwe. But this is a problem that has a solution. And again, I said every problem has a solution.
Right.
And that lies squarely on the government in how they manage their business and how they are able to cut expenses,
right,
how they are able to ensure that they spend on the right things and that the money goes to the right development, and ensuring that even more investors see it important to invest in Kenya.
Right.
So I think it's squarely upon the government to be able, and again, everything is about leadership. I believe so.
That's true.
Yes. If a country fails, then the top leadership has failed.
Right. It's the leadership that fails first.
Yes.
All right.
There is no two way to it.
Right. Here they're saying that, of course, a weak shilling will keep the price of imports, such as fuel, elevated because we are buying at a disadvantage thereof, because the shilling currently is trading at an average of 125 against the dollar as of yesterday, and some traders are actually saying that this is going to up to 134 Kenyan shillings. So you see, also there's a situation of a black market that is emerging out of this kind of situation. The scarcity of dollars, and the Business Daily also speaks of foreign reserve, Kenya foreign exchanges dipping to a 10-year low. So this scarcity of dollars brings up also a black market where it's very expensive in the black market to exchange dollars. But traders have no option now. They can't get enough dollars in the various places they're exchanging it at, and they have to go to backhanded deals to get this. And this keeps price of goods up, and Kenya imports various goods, including cars, petroleum, and machines in those dollars. So it's going to be quite disadvantageous to us into the next few months. So hopefully, as experts issue this warning, the government, as you said there, Bwana Ndegwa, that the leadership should be the one to finding solutions.
And I also think, there is also a crisis globally in terms of economics and what have you. But for a country that is developing like Kenya, this means a lot. And that is why the government needs to tread carefully to ensure that we do not suffer. Because if there is a crisis globally, then that means that will also have a trickle-down effect on the country. And more so on a country that is developing. Right,
it's going to be compounding the financial distress that is facing very many Kenyans. Right, so read that special report on the financial standard there katikati. But tuweke standard kando kidogo. Have a look at the Daily Nation. The headline there, Killing Fields. Kindiki declares part of 6 counties as disturbed and dangerous areas, as President William Ruto also orders a joint operation between KDF and police forces, law enforcement agencies, to combat that issue of runaway insecurity that is facing the North Rift region. Page 2 and page 3 of the Daily Nation is detailing this, and I was also having a look at what other various leaders are saying as a solution that can be offered for us about this situation. I was asking you there earlier, before we came on air, what could be the issue? Of course, here the Trans Nzoia governor appearing on various places yesterday and also throughout the weekend, saying that one, there are police enforcement agencies or police officers who are allowing one, the exchange of firearms between these bandits and maybe the security personnel,
colleagues,
and also that there is business that is happening here. That there are people with vested interest in the conflict in this region. There's a meat business that is booming, and he pointed out specifically to Dagoretti. So kama wewe ni mtu wa Dagoretti, pia unaweza tuambia if that is correct. He's saying that people are consuming products in Nairobi that are as a result of the conflict that is happening in the North Rift region. I don't know if that is also something that you feel is true, and maybe, as you said, that leadership is the solution to most of this situation. What should the leadership now be doing?
One, I will say that it has been an open secret for a long time that the meat business and the meat market has a lot to do with the crisis in these areas. it has been an open secret. And I will tend to believe Mr. Natembeya because he has been working closely in such issues in the past and for a very long time in Rift Valley. And one thing that we also need to understand, and also the government needs to understand, and I think they already do, is that one, it's a traditional, it's an issue of the traditional practice of these people.
Right.
Raids have been done traditionally among these communities. Even
it's an issue of culture as
it's
well.
Historical. But while that must be stopped, it's also important to understand that it is also a political issue more than it is about the communities.
All right.
There must be people who are funding these people, because if we were to really interrogate how would a community that can hardly feed itself manage to afford guns?
Right. And according to Natembeya, these are not homemade rifles.
Yes.
These are sophisticated modern machines.
Yes.
Right.
Which means there must be business people, there must be politicians funding them for business purposes, where maybe they are selling this meat to maybe Nairobi and maybe exporting. Or there could be people, politicians, hoping to gain from the conflict.
Right.
We have had issues of tribal clashes where politicians want to gain from it. So I think while this is a desperate measure by the government, actually it is a desperate measure because we have not seen in many instances where the Kenya Defence Forces have been used for an internal crisis, which means it is desperate. But there is also more to that. There is need to also look at it in the political way and try to address it from top going downwards.
Right.
And ensure that everyone, na sasa hapo ni kwa DCI, ensure that they have intelligence on these politicians.
Right. They're saying they're going to deploy surveillance technology and community-based intelligence, modern person protection equipment, and kitting for the security personnel to ensure that they're covering land and air to neutralize these bandits and rustlers. As you said, that this is, of course, a desperate measure by the government. Here, as the government is using hard power to tame this banditry, others are feeling there's need to use soft measures, including ending the illiteracy that is being exploited by these leaders and business people, as you said, who are having vested interest in either the firearm business or the meat business there. And the government can make it compulsory to children to attend boarding school and others to be reabsorbed into their police service or military. Over the weekend, I was somewhere with the Kenya Forest Service, and I got to ask them a question on poaching. What happens with these game parks that we know in Aberdare regions and in other places like Naivasha? And the answer was that sometimes they get these poachers and employ them to protect the fences. So they get the poachers who maybe they have no other source of income or any economic activity and pay them and tell them, Sasa, we're going to pay you, but now protect us from any other people. So they give them that. Should we go through that soft approach as well in this region? Give these people an opportunity to either join the police service or give them economic empowerment.
It's good that you have asked that, because I was going to say that also the issue of police reforms is another front that will save us a lot of problems even in the future. And that includes corruption, and that also includes issues of the crisis in these areas, because the issue of police officers, and that is what now Natembeya is saying, assisting these perpetrators of these killings to continue doing what they are doing. It must mean that there are things that are these people are struggling with. They are struggling with working conditions. They are struggling with maybe poor pay, including poor roads. So if one cannot be able to feed their family, then what is the need of being patriotic? And what is the need? You see.
I see.
And there is a friend of mine who used to tell me, I'm not sure of the truth to this, but he used to tell me, he used to live in South Africa, and he told me that in South Africa, these people pay their police well. So it is also easier for the government to be able to work with the police well, because the police are already feeding well. Just the same way the judiciary or the judicial officers in Kenya are paid well to be able to counter the issues of corruption, though they are still there.
Right. You can't bribe him enough.
Yes.
Yeah, that should be the way that we go.
Yes.
And I was saying there are poor infrastructure, which is also something that they are saying the police are not able to even get to this conflict
The
region.
terrain.
The terrain is really bad. So maybe also having a look at those issues as we try and eliminate banditry with other forms.
And even, I'm sorry to interrupt, and even as this operation continues, it is important for the government to measure on intelligence so that they do not end up hurting the wrong people. We have seen that in the past with operations against Mungeke, where young people with dreadlocks were victimized.
Right.
Wrongly.
Right.
Yes.
That's true. And just remembered, of course, you said that I was painting a very desperate, or at least half desperate picture that this has been an issue that has happened for so many years.
Yes.
Will we be able to get a solution? And you rightfully reminded me that we used to have Mungiki.
Yeah,
and,
we used to have Shifter.
Right. And now we have
right after independence, we read in history. Of course, we were not around. But we read in history that there were people like Shifter. We had the Suboutland defense. We at least that one we saw. We were still around.
Yes.
And solutions to it were found.
Right, that's true. Growing up in places like Kisi, there was a group called Kumikumi, Sungu Sungu, and these were faceless, just like Mungiki, but the government was still able to deal with them. And we no longer, I don't think there's anyone who's afraid that Mungiki is going to come to their household anymore. So it's possible that this be solved. And CS Kindiki is saying that he's warning politicians as well, those who have been found to be funding this menace, they will be dealt with as criminals regardless of their political affiliation. And we saw the Trans Nzoia governor also saying that there should be curfew in these 10 counties to prevent leaders from going there until this issue is resolved. Do you think that will help, such that politicians will not be able to fuel any tempers or any conflicts in this region?
And they should also be starved of any intelligence. So because in a war like this, because now this is a war, it is very dangerous for the enemy to be
aware,
to be aware of your next moves.
Right.
Yes,
that is true. You can read more. You can read more of this North Rift, a very big story. Of course, national emergency declared there by President William Ruto. 10 counties actually affected. Maybe I can read them through real quick: West Pokot, Laikipia, Meru, Turkana, Garissa, Samburu, Marsabit, Kitui, Elgeyo Marakwet, and Tana River, where rampant cases have been reported in the past 3 months. We've lost 16 police officers and over 100 civilians so far, so our condolences as well as they try and conduct counter banditry in those regions. Moving on from that story, Bwana Ndego.
Yes.
Leo ni Valentine's Day. Let's maybe make it a bit relaxed. Tumekuwa serious sana hapo kidogo. Leo ni Valentine's Day. Wewe una blame economy kwa masaibu yako. Ni kwa nini you celebrate Valentine's Day?
Well, I celebrate. You know, there are so many ways of celebrating it.
Okay, let me hear them.
I can remind her I love you. Despite the economic crisis, despite my inability or the inability of my pocket to show it, I sincerely love you.
Love is priceless.
Love is priceless. And again, I can also remind her that what matters. What do we say?
What matters?
It's. What do you say? It's the action that matters, not.
The thought that the thought that counts.
It's the thought that counts.
Yes. Okay. It's the thought that counts. So I've thought about all of you who I will have spent or loved to spend my Valentine's Day with. But Pierre, you can send me your happy Valentine's through to me. Or if there's someone that you'd like to wish a Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's Day, please do tell us na tutawapatia shout out. Hata kama ni biashara, tutaingiza mapenzi kidogo pale. Ama kama kuna biashara unapenda, unajua pia that could also be your Valentine's. My business is Biashara Tuesday, so that will be my love for today. But if you have one out there, tell us. But
and my love for today will also include the country.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The country. That is why we are here.
Yeah, true. To have a look at how this country can get better. Na relationship yetu ikuwe strong.
Yes.
Yeah. We're also loving Kenya today. There are businesses which are reaping huge today, Pia. Those who are selling roses and picnic sites and all of that lovey-dovey stuff.
The hospitality industry.
Yeah. It's going to be reaping huge today. Na kuna watu wataenda vacation. There are some who are able to fly out and fly in during this occasion. So good for them. I see here that there's a Red Roses sales representative. I think they were having a Valentine's Expo at Nation Center, Kimathi Street yesterday, and they were celebrating love. Funny thing that I saw here regarding this Valentine's story on the Standard. I don't know if you saw that. There's another one called Galentines. Have you heard of that? This one is for friends. Ahead of Valentine's, some women congregated in Nairobi to set the mood for the occasion with Galentine's Day, which is, according to the Standard, gaining popularity. It's supposed to celebrate female friendship. Good for them. What do you think about that?
What I think is that we should also have a Valentine's. I think that is ongoing. For a long time, it has been an idea that has not been accomplished with the men's conference.
We have men's conference. I think so. Could it be that also the women are creating their own avenue to escape Valentine's?
Could be, or probably the modern woman is quite a sophisticated creature, and I think they are learning how to love themselves better than we are doing.
Good for them. For them. I'm happy for women always. So that was Valentine's Day yesterday. So I was opposed to men's conference, which is happening today, by the way. Haven't seen the full list of speakers, but the Stingy Men Association will be there, plus others who are
also imaginary.
On that men's conference. So celebrate both of those two today, the 14th of February 2023. Here on the Standard there, pale top left, there's an issue ya uko Azimio. Najua kuna mambo ya Azimio unayatambua. Mambo ya Azimio unayatambua sana. There are errant MPs, and we saw this even from the ODM side last week. Some getting to meet the president, causing up to the government, and there's a call to purge them from the opposition. Starting from the ODM side, we saw a member of parliament, Langata, that is Jalango, getting kicked out of, or getting was prevented from getting access to a meeting that was being held by Azimio leaders. And we're also seeing a record 30 members of parliament from the Jubilee side getting to cozy up to the president. I wanted to ask you, does the constitution allow this, and how should parties be approaching such a situation where the president, through UDA, is trying to get an absolute majority in parliament? And you know the importance of the opposition. Seen sentiments there from Raila Amolo Odinga, the leader of the opposition, saying that wale wanataka kutoka OKENYE. He called them very obscene word that I can't say here on air. And they said that if they want to get those services, they can go and get them from the other side. How should parties approach this situation?
First of all, party hopping is part of Kenya's history, political history, and I don't think it is going anywhere any soon. Also, as an individual, as a member within the party, and I'm not talking on behalf of Azimio, and I'm also not talking on behalf of my party, because there is also, I should point out that there is a spokesperson for the party.
Right.
And but as a member of a party, there is an extent to which you should behave while within the party.
Right.
The Political Parties Act does not really allow members to party hop in such a manner.
Right.
And that is why the party, it is upon the party now, the party leadership, to initiate disciplinary if they will wish on the members. But for political parties, the Political Parties Act allows them to shift allegiance now that it is 3 months past the elections.
Right.
There is a 6 months cap for which to do that. That is between the formation of the coalition and the exit. So the formation was 3 months before or something. But now, after the election, there is a 3 months cap to which the exit now can happen, and we are way past that. We are, I think, more than 5 months now from that, from which means political parties, if they were to agree, are allowed to make the move and exit if the coalition no longer benefits them.
Right, here you've mentioned that the Political Parties Act and on membership and resignation, the Constitution says that elective positions, if they stop being members of parliament, of members of political parties that sponsored them during the elections, so they should either resign or be expelled. And parties are expected, of course, to, as you said, conduct that disciplinary action. And we are seeing 9 ODM lawmakers already going to face the party in 3 days, and also explain why they got to meet the president in in their own separate meeting. And of course, Jubilee side expected as well to take the
initiate.
Right.
Now, if they do not initiate, then there is no way to hold those members back.
All right.
Because they cannot resign on their own volition, because who wants to go back to a by-election?
Mugi, we saw this some time back also with Deputy President then, who's current President, William Ruto, when he was in Jubilee, being asked to resign from the Jubilee Party to go and vie on a UDA ticket, but he did not. He continuously said and insisted that UDA was still part of Jubilee.
And I think that is also what Felix Oduor or Jalango is doing. He sometimes back tried to say that he still loves his party leader and still loves his party, trying to balance between not going to the by-election and remaining where he is.
Right, that's
but
true.
it is also good to understand that for both parties, and both parties I mean the party, the political party, and the member of this party who is a honorable member, there are 2 ways to it. There's an advantage and a disadvantage at going right into this war. Because if a party, for instance Jubilee, were to expel members, honorable members elected through their tickets, and force a by-election, they are not very sure
if they will win back that seat.
They will win back that seat.
Okay.
So they must tread carefully.
Both of them, because the party might lose the seat in parliament, and the member of parliament might lose his seat as well.
And now that they see it this way, that they see that, and most of these members are from Mount Kenya, and they see that the president has been overwhelmingly loved in the mountain, it will be a risky affair for them to do.
Does this mean dark days for Azimio?
Because it means they do not change tact. Because again there have been complaints even from within, and some people do not feel really, and again I do not speak for my party, I must remind you that there is a spokesperson for that, but I'm saying that there have been a lot of complaints from within. And if people are already disenfranchised from within, and they feel they are not satisfied, then you go where you are satisfied.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. There's another way to look at it. According to Felix Oduor, who is the member of parliament of Langata, saying that the people do not recognize parties, they just want development. So according to him,
very important point,
he's causing up to the president to ensure that there's development coming to his people regardless of the party.
Yes. His party leader, Honorable Raila, countered that by saying that development is not sought after in
closed boardroom meetings
in the State House. But it is also, we should also accept the truth. That when one is elected as a member of parliament and to lead his people, his main objective is not only to do what the constitution has allowed him to do. It is also his prerogative to go and sort out friendships that will allow him to get what he wants. Because the constitution, just by the fact that the constitution says you should get this, it doesn't mean you will get it. You have to use all ways possible and all weapons possible to ensure that you bring back to your people what you promised them. And one way is trying to work with the government that doesn't mean that you will not oppose them, but it means that for the benefit of the people, and that is what these Jubilee members who have decamped are saying, it is important to work with the government of the day on certain areas.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. That could be true.
Yes.
And we're hoping that that is a truth. We'll be following up on that, even as Jubilee insists its commitment to the opposition. We saw former President Uhuru Kenyatta declaring his support and reaffirming his support for Azimio chief Raila Odinga,
Yes.
and that Jubilee is still with ODM in the Azimio coalition. So it's a night of long nights.
Yes. Well, that is a matter to maybe in the future we will know.
We'll look
But
back
I
and
doubt.
see whether those sentiments were true.
I
But you
doubt.
doubt.
I doubt.
Yeah, okay, we'll waiting to see if Jubilee sticks with Azimio.
Yes.
But just as a long shot question, if the president achieves an absolute majority in parliament,
Yes.
because he's wooing leaders from the other side, he already has a very huge majority,
Yes.
and an absolute majority means that all his bills will pass
Yes,
through with
yes.
no fear of contradiction or opposition.
Yes.
What will this mean for the country?
And in fact, he is closing in on the 233 cap.
Right, that's true.
And if he does that, then well, good for him politically, because all his agenda maybe is likely to pass when and if he says that it should pass. But it is also a risky affair, because if he were to, I told you earlier, if he were to go rogue, which we are not sure, is the problem is we are not sure what he wants. But if he were to go rogue,
those are legitimate fears, by the way.
Yes,
I'm hoping no one dismisses
yes,
them. Yeah.
if he were to go rogue, then it will be a risky affair for the nation,
Right.
because he will have the immense ability to turn the constitution his way.
Right, that's true.
And that is a risky affair.
Okay.
But also it is important to understand that this is politics. And I've always said, and again I'm not speaking for Azimio, I've always said that Azimio cannot complain as a party and as a coalition party cannot complain about their members shifting camp, because they must have understood when they were forming this in their formative stages of the coalition that they are in this for politics. And also